Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tosh Customs and today we'll be looking at my custom Mezco Spec Ops agent. This guy went through a ton of iterations before I finally landed on this look, and you'll kind of see a mishmash of different designs playing into him, but I think that actually ends up creating a very flexible figure who will do a lot more than just be one character. And so we will start off with the accessories, and then we will go over, the figure itself, as we always do. So I'm going to pop off his head here, and let's dive right into it. So if any of you guys are fans of Tom Clancy, specifically Splinter Cell, you'll probably recognize this head or this inspiration right off the bat. I originally wanted to make a Sam Fisher inspired figure. And so I was looking at a lot of different Tom Clancy source material, and I came up with this head. You might be wondering, well, what are the parts for this? Well, it is the Spider-Man Night Monkey base head. And if you guys are familiar with that figure, he has these white lenses that cover his eyes that can flip up and down. And so what I did was I took that joint, I cut off where the lenses were, and I re-sculpted and attached the night vision goggles from the Diabolic figure. And so then I painted everything up, sanded it all down, and now you have a very Splinter Cell-esque night vision goggle head. And so as you can see, you can tilt them up and they hold, and then you can also flip them back down. So that's the first head. But, I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to just make a Splinter Cell figure. I felt like that might be boring. And, I never like just making something off the source material. I always want to put my own spin on it. And so then I was asking, okay, well then how else, what else can I do? What other heads can I use to make him interesting? And so I came up with this head, which I am sort of just titling the Voidwalker head. In my own personal lore for this guy, he's a military agent who was actually the first time traveler. If you guys have seen my Tosh the Turtle figure in review, you'll know that Tosh the Turtle got sent back in time to fix history so that the world wouldn't end up in World War III and, basically just nuclear fallout. But this guy was sent back many years before him on the same mission, except my idea for both of these heads was that he got stuck out in like this time travel void for too long, and it corrupted him a bit. And so now he's got these black with like these white pupils, these very piercing eyes. If you've noticed, both of these are Moon Knight heads. So I repainted the mask part from being white to black, and then I did that sort of matching dry brushing along the center part of the mask. And then I've repainted the skin for this guy, and so he's got a lot more stubble now, as you guys can see. And I also worked on fading the black of those eyes into the skin. And so what I did was I painted the base layer of skin, but then when I was going to kind of like do my top coat dry brushing, I painted the eyes first and then did my top coat dry brushing. And so some of the blacks of the eyes actually fade and look like they're under the skin a little bit. And so it doesn't look like he's wearing makeup, but, this whole corruption thing looks like it's much more internal, which is really cool. So yeah, completely repainted both heads here. And I like this, this unmasked head specifically, because now you realize that this mask and this look isn't like the mask itself, but that's actually, those are actually his eyes. This is something that, has happened to him and it's affected him. But the idea is that he becomes this corrupted agent, as he's out in this time-traveling void, jumping between different, dates and stuff like that. But in that, he also realizes that no one's good. Correcting the world or saving the world only benefits certain people. There's always multiple sides to a story. So he realizes that his mission is only going to benefit, certain people, certain interested parties. And so he realizes that everyone in their own ways is the bad guy. And so because of that, he goes rogue and instead is trying to completely reset history. And so Tosh the Turtle is going to run across him on his own journeys. But, you know, for me, that's my own personal lore. I will be selling this figure, so you write your own story with these heads, but you do have this third option of the secret agent so that you don't have to stick with, you know, the corrupted heads if you don't want to. You can take these, put them on whatever figure you want. But, you know, once again, I originally designed this guy to be an agent. Talking about, you know, being an agent, secret agent, military, you gotta have guns. So the first gun he has is this Beretta Desert Eagle style pistol. I don't know exactly what kind of pistol this is, if I'm being quite honest, but this came off the NECA Terminator 2 figure. I think it's the Ultimate T800 or 8000 or something like that. So yeah, so that's where I got this pistol from. It does have a hole at the front to plug stuff in, but the NECA figure doesn't actually have any blast effects. And I tried to fit this so that I could fit the Mezco blast effects, and it just didn't work out. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can't load anything into this pistol. Just the sizing, the depth of the peg hole here is not deep enough to really securely fit a blast effect. So that is unfortunate. I also have two more pistols. These are the casted Mezco Deadpool pistols, these smaller, I guess almost like Glocks, really. And both of these are casted from Resin Armory. Check him out on Instagram. He does just incredible work. I've been very, very impressed with his casts. And so I have two of these because I do have shoulder, like chest harness holsters on the figure. So we have two pistols for that. We also have a backpack here. This is from the Cut and Stitch Mezco pack. And what I did was I actually took some straps that I had from a 3D printed harness. I used other parts of the harness for other things, so I had these extra straps here. And so these straps I glued onto the backpack itself so that we have a more reinforced tactical look. And when it's sitting over him, or when it's sitting on the figure's shoulders, everything lines up really well. And so you guys will see that in a bit. But yeah, I painted this up with gunmetal and also some gloss for that center strap. So you have matte black, this gunmetal, as well as some of the gloss in the center. So we have that. And these straps are important, and I'll explain why in a little bit, but you'll have to see it like the full configuration for it to make sense. Some of the other things I have here, I have two grenades from the Mezco Black Skull, which is the, I'll just hold one, it's easier. I have grenades from the Mezco Black Skull figure. I didn't do anything to these, I was just perfectly happy with the black grenades. And so this figure, by the way, is based on the Mezco Black Skull, or yeah, Black Skull Brigade. So I just have two grenades from there. From the Black Skull Brigade, we also have Black Skull Brigade. We also have this pack of C4, or just pack of explosive. If you guys are familiar, this is originally, like all the green parts are originally painted gray. So I completely repainted that, as well as the wires. I made the wires red. So now we have a little bit more of an accurate military look, or military-esque look. And if you look in closely here, you'll see that the edges have a slight like brown weathering to it. There you go. You can see it really well there. But yeah, I weathered this whole thing, and I'm realizing just like the light just my light in general isn't showing up too clearly. But if I turn it to an angle, you can start to see that weathering there. So I did weather this guy up, so, you know, it looks like it's been transported around, been carried, moved places. I also have the remote detonator here. The remote detonator is normally basically all gray, except for like the antenna and that little black button in the center. So I actually painted this like indented middle part matte black as well, so that we got just some extra depth to it. I don't want things to look too plain, and so this just kind of helped break up the relatively matte gray plastic of the detonator there. Coming to some of our other weapons, I also have included the Black Skull knife, and I do have storage for the knife on the figure, and so we'll take a look at that a little bit later. But this is unchanged. I like the black blade. It looks nice. I was thinking about painting it silver, but quite frankly, I just like him in this darker color scheme. And so, you know, imagining this almost like, you know, some kind of carbon fiber blade is very, very cool. So I'm leaving it as is. This is a feature I'm really excited about, and so I'm going to show you guys right now. I have an AR and an SMG. Individually, neither of these can hold blast effects, as you can see. Both of these, well, this one's not a cast. This is from the who made the DC Suicide Squad figures? I don't remember. The very, very cheap ones. It's not Mattel. I think it's Mattel. Yeah, this is from the Mattel Suicide Squad figure, the military guy. I'm not remembering his name off the top of my head. Rick Flag. There we go. Rick Flag. It is from the Mattel Rick Flag figure. It's a very nicely detailed AR. In terms of its cast, I really like it at least. So I painted the scope red, as you can see. I painted the scope red as well as the laser, if my camera will focus. There you go. You can see the scope and the laser are both painted red. So we have that there. I also hit this with some black gray and some gunmetal, and so now you can see there's that difference between the matte and the gunmetal, just to add some depth to the AR itself. I did similar treatment for the SMG. Same thing, matte black with then some black gray and some gunmetal dry brushing up top. And this was, I believe this was a cast, or was it a cast? I think it is. I think this was a cast I got from a weapons lot off eBay, but I'll be honest, I failed to remember. I have a lot of like just these different guns kind of sitting around, so it's hard to remember every single source. But coming to the very cool feature I have. This was a baton from a Marvel Legends figure. It was already, wait, did I paint it black? Yeah, I did paint it black. I believe it was originally red. I think it was Daredevil's. But what I did was I drilled a hole in one side and then filled it with some sculpt so that it would have a very precise porthole. And the other side, I drilled an even smaller hole. And so what this allows is it is a universal adapter for a suppressor. It works both on the SMG and on the AR, and it just so happens that they both have a very similar barrel size, and so they hold on both quite well. So as you can see, push it on, doesn't come off. And because I sized this hole on the other side, you can take Mezco bullet effects and plug them in. So I am including this, I'm including one Mezco bullet effect with the figure, just the single fire blast, because it's not as heavy, which is nice. And I've also added a little bit of super glue to the inside of this hole and to the outside of this little tab, or this little peg here, I guess, so that it has a little extra grip. And so as you can see, it just plugs in very nicely. And so now you can have him suppressed and firing, which I think is super, super cool. So this suppressor adapter, you can put it on either gun, and that allows you to hook up bullet effects to his SMG and AR. The last thing we have, or second to last thing that we have, are these shoulder pads right here, or this shoulder armor. These I got from Action Figure Customs. They came along with his like Punisher armor set, and I used the Punisher armor for a different figure, but I had these shoulder pieces left over. And so I am using these on the agent himself, and once again talking about the backpack and sort of that full configuration. You'll see that transformation a little bit later, but I do have this painted with a little bit of some green and black gray in there, so you get a little bit of weathering. The green looks like it's showing up really clearly, which is funny because of the camera, because when you hold it in person, it's much more of a green tint with more gray being predominant, but I feel like the green is kind of showing up through the camera a little bit more than I was expecting. So that's nice. But yeah, so you have this black, gray, and green. Then as you can see, the little buckles on either side of this tab have some gunmetal in there, as well as that little ring up top has some gunmetal too. So trying not to spare any details on this guy. And then finally, I have this coat. I bought this off of eBay from wow, the name escapes me at this moment. GPS lot, I think. So yeah, so I got this coat and it fits perfectly, and we'll take a look at that in a bit. But now we have covered the accessories. If you guys are wondering about hands, I'm just using the black skull hands. No modifications necessary. These molds are perfectly fine, and they get the job done. So I'm good with those hands, and I do like how the hands are a little bit stylized. It gives the body and just the whole overall suit a little bit more of a, I guess, punchy nature, if that makes sense. It feels a little bit, you know, there's some character and some attitude behind the design because you have these hands, because you have the thinner frame, you know, the semi-oversized boots. It adds just a little bit more character to the overall look. And so even, you know, in my design of the parts and stuff like that, I wanted to play into that just a little bit. So right now, what we're going to do is I'm going to put on his unmasked head for the time being, and we will look at the figure itself. But I'm going to scoot all these accessories out of the way, and we will kind of kit him up as we go through the review. So I'm just going to keep dragging these off to the side here. All right. So we have the agent, the special agent figure here. I was inspired, like I said earlier, from Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. I was also inspired a bit by The Division, which is originally what inspired me to give him an unmasked head. And so just kind of pulling from these different military designs, and it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do with him. I bought knee pads like a long time ago because I had been thinking about this figure for a bit. So I had these knee pads just in storage, and then what I did was I bought this really cool fabric holster. It came from China, and I think it comes from a Damn Toys figure, as well as these leg pouches. And real quick, let's take a look at these pouches here. As you can see, I've painted them up with a black gray, also tinted it with just a little bit of green. The sort of connecting strap that runs across the pouches is done in a gloss black, and as you can see, the buttons, the little tabs on the pouch tops, as well as the little clips there have all been also picked out. And so what I did to get these onto the belt was I had to cut off the back tabs. So look at this, like this belt loop piece right here. As you can see in the front, they actually have tabs on it. But these back ones, I cut them off so that I could slide the fabric loops across the belt, and so that they would actually be connected to the belt and then connect to the leg. And so that took a lot of work, I'll be honest. It was quite time consuming to thread these across and get everything clipped up, and also get all these straps, because these are actual clips, all these straps sized properly. But I did all of that, and is looking pretty sick here. So yeah, we have all that. But you know, I had this guy in mind for a while, but the big challenge was coming up with what I was going to do for the chest rig. I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do for it, and so I'll pop the head off for a second so we can zoom in. So what I did here was this upper portion is the G.I. Joe classified Snake Eyes rig, and so you can see that it loops all the way around, and I do have his shoulder holsters on right now. And I'll unclip this for a second so that we can actually take a look at the full rig itself. So kind of pulling these to the side. We have the rig up here. I added a little clip that I turned into almost like a nameplate screen, and then I cut off a watch face. Let's see if the camera will focus. I cut off a watch face and tinted it orange, and you can still see some of the you can still see the hands and the dials through it. And the camera's not catching. There we go. The camera's catching a lot better there. So in hand, you can still see all the watch detailing, but there's like a trans clear orange over the top of it, you know, Division inspired. But I painted the whole Snake Eyes rig in a like black gray leather brown color palette. I picked out some stuff in gloss black, and I also picked out some in gunmetal. And I had someone ask me a while back, what did I do for this whole upper chest piece? So this is the back side of the Rick Flag vest, because I used the front side on a different project. But what I did was I cut it to match the curve of the Snake Eyes rig. and then I glued it onto the chest, and then I took a piece of thick elastic and wrapped it around the back. So I glued it onto each side of the vest, and I wrapped it around real tight. So now you have, how the vest connects to the body. And so that turns out to be a really, really nice setup there, and I really like it. Just for some more gunmetal detailing, got some gunmetal there, and all the clips back here are all done in gunmetal as well. So yeah, camera shake, sorry. So that's pretty sick, and I really, really like that. We do have this pistol rig up here, so I can take both pistols and the black casted ones, take those, slide those into the rig, and then what I've also done is I added a little elastic loop up here, as you can see, and that is for the knife. So in this configuration right here, I'm thinking about this more as like the lighter agent. He can have everything loaded up on here, and I'm not going to clip it in because I am going to, I will, I'll clip it in. Why not? Sorry, I have to put this guy on the table so I can pinch and grab the ends of the clips there. Here we go. So as you can see, I can put everything into place. Let's just make sure everything's all adjusted and straightened. And so now he has both pistols there, as well as knife storage up on the shoulder, so that he can come across and grab it with his right hand, pull his knife out, and be ready to fight. I really, really like this design here. I think it feels light and modular. I didn't want him to feel armored up and very heavy. That's the one thing I was really, really trying to avoid with this guy. I didn't want him to feel weighed down by his gear, but definitely feel like there was a lot of movement that he was still very capable of. Also, the silver pistol, it fits in this side holster. So you just take this tab of fabric out, you put the pistol in, and then you just take that tab of fabric and run it back down inside the holster. And so that's how you get that nice loop over the gun. And that looks really, really nice. All right. So that is this is sort of like his lighter agent look right here, I guess you could say. Very, very flexible. This is how I like to have him configured with his night vision goggles. So he's got his pistols, he's got his knife, he's ready to go. Load him up with his AR and send him out. Very, very Splinter Cell in this way. But, obviously I wanted to do more than just make a Splinter Cell inspired figure. So what you can do is, I'm going to remove all the accessories. We'll just put them down over here. Unclip the front section again, which is just a little wiggling and it pops out. So now we're going to remove the whole chest harness. And by the way, this chest harness is from the cut and stitch as well. Remove that. And now we are going to put on his coat. But first, I didn't talk about this earlier, I did repaint the Black Skull logo to be this little gray skull. It's not one-to-one with what it used to look like. So yeah, I fully repainted it. So now it looks a little bit more stylized, and I dig. I like it. Also, the belt does have some chrome as well, or some gunmetal as well. But now we're going to put on his coat. So I'm going to remove the hands, and I'm going to push the arms back here, just like so. Then what I'm going to do is I will take the coat, put the coat over the figure. So we're just going to slide the sleeves over either arm, and then I'm going to slowly kind of drag and adjust the coat over the shoulders so that everything moves over nicely. All right, so we have that. I keep the hood down, and that's just because the way the hood is sewn, it gets this like little up thing right here. And no matter how I try to straighten the hood, this back part still sits higher. So I don't know if that, I assume they just intended for the hood to be down in that way, because it looks really nice down. As you can see, it does a nice layering, but like when you pull it up, it gets really wonky. So I think it was designed to kind of sit over the back. So we have his coat on. The next thing we'll do is we will pull the arms back a second time, and now we will put the backpack on. And so the backpack, simple, just drag it over the arms, bring the arms down, just like so, And you'll see that I sized it perfectly, that the just the contour of the straps match up with the shoulders with the coat on. So yeah, this is very much designed to have the coat layered with it. You can do it without it, but just know that it might not look as good, I guess. So yeah, let me drag all the coat over, make sure the arms are straight, and then I'm going to clip this in. And once again, I have to kind of put it on the ground so that I have enough grip. It's very tough to hold him up for the camera and clip everything in. All right, so there we go. So now we have the backpack set up, and now we have the shoulder straps on. And now what we do is we take the shoulder padding and we bring this up and just slide it up the arm. And so the reason why I wanted to do this with the coat and with the backpack straps on is because of how this shoulder armor works in real life. The way the shoulder armor works for body armor is that these tabs up here are looped into the normal body armor, like rig, the rest of the body armor. And so that's how they're connected. So they're connected on the bicep, and then they're connected to the main body of the armor. Because of that real world functionality, I didn't want to just have him with shoulder pads and have nowhere to connect it. And so having these bigger, military tactical-esque straps here make it look more realistic for to imagine these tabs being connected onto them. And so, if you tuck everything in and you pose it all right, it does look like those straps are connected onto the backpack. And so now we have a more realistic look and, something that does function in the real world or mimics the functionality in the real world. So that's very, very cool. With that, I will put on his other head, plop that on there. And I also like to take the grenades and just put the grenades on the belt here. I think that looks pretty good. You can choose how you can choose your own configuration yourself, but I personally just like to tab those on there. There we go. So drop those grenades on there. And then let me grab a trigger hand and let me load him up with his AR. So we'll stand him just like so. Grab his AR, put the AR in his hand, then we'll grab the suppressor, load the suppressor on, and then I will grab his cupped hand for his left hand. So let's put the cupped hand on, just like so. There we go. And then his AR with the trigger finger. And then we can load him up like that. And I think that's a super cool look. And you see how piercing those white dots in the eyes are. You get that very empty void and him just looking through it. And if any of this design looks kind of familiar to you, if you guys have played Tom Clancy, oh man, what's it called? It's the most, is it Breakpoint? The most recent, I think it's one of the more recent Tom Clancy games. They're on the island. They're on Arcoa or something, Krakoa. But yeah, the main villain of that game, his name is Cole Walker, and he does a kind of trench coat shoulder pad configuration. And so I was very inspired by that because I thought it was a really unique look. And so I kind of adapted that. His is much more of a poncho that he wears, but I changed it out for a trench coat. And so now you can get some, also this coat's all wired, so you can get a very dramatic look for him standing there ready to go. We can take that, we can put on his unmasked head, get him looking like that, and I think that's a pretty sick look too. And if you want, we can always stick with the agent look, and that is also very, very gnarly. And so, yeah, I wanted to design this guy to have a very Spec Ops vibe, military based, but still got some style to him. And I hope you guys feel like I succeeded in doing that. I really like this build. I really enjoyed putting it all together, and it's something that I've been planning for a while. And so, you know, we can stand, yeah, both time travelers next to each other. And it's crazy how much taller the turtle is. But, you know, I think this guy has a crazy intimidation factor too. So yeah, I like the whole build. You get the backpack on there too. So, you know, he can hold some gear. I currently have the foam block still in it, but you can throw his accessories in there if you want to. But real quick, before we end, let me get him posed up so that it looks like he's, you know, aiming down sights. And we'll get some, we'll put the fire effect in there too. Let's adjust everything here. Keep that trigger finger in. There we go. Yeah, so the only thing is that the coat does limit some of the range of motion, but it's not too bad. You just got to angle the hands right, get some perspective in there as well. Then load up the fire effect right in there. And there you, whoops, his hand popped out. My bad. There we go. Stay plugged in, please. I will say, the black skull hands, I don't like the peg that Mezco chose for them. It's a weird shape, and so it doesn't always stay the most secure. But yeah, you can get him firing, get him aiming down, going hard. So I really like this whole setup here. So yeah, this is my overview for my custom Mezco Spec Ops agent. I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't think there's much else to talk about, really. This has been a long time coming. Like I said, I've been wanting to do a Tom Clancy inspired, military inspired figure for a little bit. And so this is sort of just kind of my brainchild that's been knocking around for a little bit. And so hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. Like I said before, this guy will be on sale. Go check out my Instagram page for more details on that. This guy comes with all the accessories that I've talked about. I have put a lot of work into this guy, and so, you know, yeah, if you want to check out the listing, go over to my Instagram. It is Tosh_customs. And while you're there, if you want to give my page a follow as well, I post work in progress pictures on my story, and it's just a better way to stay updated with all the other work I'm doing. And finally, if you have enjoyed this video in some way, if you've learned something, please drop a like. Please comment anything you thought was cool. I really appreciate any and all the support you guys give. It means a lot, and you know, you guys are the reason I keep the channel going. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to share this figure with you. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. And pose him one more time, and I will say we are signing off. So thank you all for watching. Ooh, look at that. That's cool. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you next time. Take care.